my show is so up to date, you might have to Google what I'm talking about. The other night, I did a joke, someone says, not funny. I said, check it. And he went, hang on. He goes, hang on. Oh yeah. And he gets a laugh.
Hello, welcome to Steve Best Shoots, and I've got the wonderful Omid Djalili. I toured with him a little bit years and years ago. He's one of the funniest guys out there. Omid Djalili.
Ahlan wa sahlan, astaghfirullah. This is Steve Best. How are you? Great to see you.
You too, mate. Come into my little shop.
Oh wow, what is this? This is it looks like an opium den. I feel at home already. Looks like a Middle Eastern opium den.
It's an honour.
No, honour for me.
Well, it's an honour for me.
Here.
Come on.
As Secretary of the International Board Committee, I must say it's wonderful to have our Vice Chairman here.
You got your hat on.
I've got my hat off now because I'm proud, bald and proud.
Yeah.
It's amazing how different I am in photo shoots.
In what sense?
These days, I'm so aware that the less you try, the better the photo. So if you take photographs now, but when I was younger, it was all like kind of.
Yes, yeah. I've got that. Hang on, keep that one. Yeah. Is that the showbiz shot you do?
Yeah, but no, it was just, I would just literally thought I had to be really entertaining.
So you kind of
it'd be like, every picture was like, I'd be knackered, I'd be like drenched in sweat going, did you get a picture then?
But going into your act, basically.
Basically, I've been doing my act.
Yeah. I haven't got very wide lens, so I can't get your arms in there.
You need a real wide lens for me.
Let's start from that. When did you start? It's off.
It's off, right?
That was after about 2 minutes.
This is me. Okay, here we go. Let's put that. I'll be really cool and get it.
Go on. If you do that, I'll give you
the side there. I don't even know where I was going for.
So you don't mind having your picture being taken?
Thing is, but they often upload on, like you go on Instagram when you see on your stories, people say, oh, I've met Omid Djalili. Really awful pictures, really, kind of, you look really fat and kind of like unphotogenic. And they look really good. You see all the, especially girls, they know how to take a selfie.
Right.
I put half my body behind someone else's body now, because then you see half a body.
Right.
It's a way to look thinner. But they do that with me. So these very slender women look great, and I'm kind of going, looking the other way, looking really fat and gormless. Tim Vine 2006.
Is it?
Tim Vine is so funny. I took the biggest poster out in Edinburgh in 2005.
Yeah.
And it helped me sell out the Pleasance Grand, I think it's called. Then the next year, Tim Vine took the same poster out, but he wasn't even at the festival. It just said, Tim Vine is not at the festival, tour coming September. He paid for it for the whole month.
But that Edinburgh was your big break. It
was a big break, yes. I got a TV show after that. I got the Omid Djalili show was on BBC. We did a pilot in 2006, just after that.
Best gig. Have you had best gig?
Yeah, I had a best gig that no one really saw. It was a pub in Herne Hill, and they weren't laughing at anything. They just weren't laughing. And I just said, do you know what? I just did crowd work, and I came up with this. I actually can't remember what I said. I was in the zone. I was in a comedy zone where everything I said hit. Everything was gold, and the first 15 minutes that got nothing then transformed into another half an hour of the best stuff, and I can't remember any of it. It was something about spaceships and speaking to aliens. It was this whole thing I had about God and the universe. But worst gig. The worst gig now is so bad, and I can't say too much about it because I may do it as a routine, but it was the Glastonbury Festival. It's not everyone's worst gig. Some people love it because it's packed. It's usually 2,000 people. It was the worst experience I ever had. They were wound up, they were off their tits. There was a bloke heckling in tongues. There was a Christian hippie who was looking up at all the acts going, Shabba Kufala, Kufala, Shabba, Shabba Kufala. But I'd looked at my watch and I'd lost the crowd at 3 minutes, and I had to do another 4 minutes to get paid. I remember asking the audience, do you want to see my genitals? As often happened, I should say, back then it was kind of acceptable. Not now, but back then it was acceptable. But you'd ask the audience, would you like to see my genitalia? Someone would say yes. You pull your pants down, and the vulnerability of just displaying your genitals would get a laugh, pull your trousers back up, and then you finish your set. So I did that to disastrous effect. Steve, honestly, it was so bad that experience, I put it out my brain. I was doing all right as a comic, but that experience made me think this is not worth it, because I'm losing my dignity here. As a human being, I deserve better. They say 90% of this is your personality. So if they don't like the show, they don't like your soul.
Yes.
They hate you. And that's the thing that's a bit hard to take. To be hated as a human soul is a difficult thing to take.
So there's so much kind of hatred there with you. Think I'm just telling jokes.
Yes.
Just going to interrupt the show with Omid Djalili. If you like this show, then like here at the bottom somewhere, like, and also subscribe. It means so much to me if you subscribe to the channel. And then back to the interview.
People don't realise what a tough job this is, and it is a job. Because people want to be entertained, and they don't realise that you've been encouraged all your life by friends, peers. They're the ones who saying you're entertaining, and I think you can hold our attention. That's what art and comedy is, actually. It's just holding people's attention.
Yeah.
And that's what Instagram is. That's what Twitter is. Can you hold people's attention?
But the problem is now the attention is that big compared to what it was before.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
The problem now is you're competing against people who are more entertained scrolling than they are. Actually, Sean Walsh said this once. Sean Walsh said, I realise what we are just a distraction for 20 minutes from people doing that. They'll just watch comedy, and as soon as it's over, say good night, you just see people going straight back to that.
Terrible.
You know, people like Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock, they confiscate your phone.
Oh, right.
But now I say, guys, you can be on, while I'm on, you can be on, because my show is so up to date, you might have to Google what I'm talking about. The other night, I did a joke, someone says, not funny. I said, check it. And he went, hang on. He goes, hang on. Oh yeah. And it gets a laugh. I've been practicing a bit of material with some laughter.
Really?
Which is interesting, yeah. It's funny how the joke never worked unless I put a laugh in. I did this bit about how people in Northern Ireland are usually funnier than the comic on stage. And I was in Derry, and you should never call it Londonderry. But I stupidly said, good evening, Londonderry. And this bloke goes, we don't call it that, we've shortened it. I said, oh yeah, Derry. He went, no, London. I said he was still laughing as half the crowd were beating the shit out of him. But the bit doesn't work without me laughing.
Oh, really?
So I've tried it and it didn't get a laugh, but just going, like that, gets the laugh.
Can I get you to move back slightly?
Yes, I'll be moving forward a bit.
Yeah, you're moving forward.
Sorry.
That's all right.
I'm typically that comic, so we always come to the edge of the stage, don't we? I've fallen off a few times. I'm so needy for laughs. I'm so needy. You got somebody got a theatre really long, and you really should stand back so it's easier for the people. But I always come right to the front, so you're almost horizontal to the people on the side, and because it's just neediness.
Is it neediness, or you kind of really want people to see you?
I want people to love me. So much I fell off the stage a few times.
Have you?
I'm so needy. You know, we come from the generation where we wrote material, we presented it. Kids these days, it's interesting. It's all about crowd work. Now, for our generation, crowd work is not that difficult. But for young people, they think that's fantastic. They think it's really great because it works on Instagram and you can put lots of stuff on, and then
it doesn't waste your material.
Doesn't waste
if
your
you're
material.
writing material as well.
So my advice always is to young comics, you just write some material because when you come to see a show, you can't put a Netflix show on with just crowd work. You can't do an HBO special or crowd work. So actually sitting down and writing material, performing it, and how you perform it is actually really it's really key to being a good comic like me.
You've got to put the laugh at the end of that when you do that.
I had to do a self-joke. That's if you want to be a good comic like me. That's so good.
You've been in lots of films.
I've been in lots of films, yes.
Have you got stuff lined up? You're still going to do
I've
stuff?
done a couple more films, and would maybe do a little sitcom soon. So it's fun if you've written something and you have some ownership over it.
Right.
But it's also fun when you do other people's stuff and you get to meet great people.
I mean, Gladiator, The Mummy.
Yes.
And they're huge, big budget films.
Do you know what? That's what I thought my life was going to be. I did The Mummy, Gladiator. Very soon I did a bunch of other films like Spy Game, Bond film, and I just thought that was my life now. Playing smaller roles, but because of my ethnicity, cleaning up on all those kind of Middle Eastern roles.
You've written that what your role is.
Yes, I'm a kind of Arab scumbag specialist. I thought that's what I was going to do, but in the Bond film I was the second Azerbaijani oil pipe attendant, which is a major departure in my career. But then 9/11 happened, and then 9/11 happened in my life, and I kind of, before cancel culture, I kind of got cancelled without even saying anything.
In the industry, in the film
industry, they just didn't want me because it was too controversial to have someone from the Middle East on stage. I'd had a show at the Bloomsbury Theatre and they said, look, do you want to go ahead with it or not? 17 days after 9/11.
Wow.
So I went ahead and did the show and it got such big laughs. I did my famous suicide bomber school joke. Suicide bomber schools, where's your bag? Oh, I left it on the bus. Well done, gold star. It was jokes like that that kind of like saved me at the time when people were like, couldn't laugh at that kind of thing. So as soon as you were able to make fun of the suicide bombers, make fun of terrorism.
But that's very quick after the
event,
isn't it?
Very quick, yeah, 17 days.
Which is unusual, isn't it? Because
comedy is tragedy plus time. Yeah, you need some time before you can laugh at something. But I went straight in. And that kind of is what saved my career. So my life took a different turn. So I stopped doing the big Hollywood blockbusters. I did a couple, but it wasn't really like my career. And then I started focusing more on the comedy because I thought, wow, I seem to mean something to a lot of people. I'm some kind of bridge between East and West. So I better be good. I better represent, and I better up my game. I only did comedy as a laugh. You can't say you went into it thinking I want to be a...
Absolutely
This is fun. This is a fun thing to do.
And you can't believe we're getting away with this.
You can't believe it. And if someone gives you 100 quid, you think, I can't believe, when there was no money in those days, you think I'm getting away with life. But then it became serious for me. There was this real momentum behind, there's a Middle Eastern guy talking about 9/11 because nobody else did. I suppose, in a sense, I felt it was very important to do it. So then I came to the Edinburgh Festival. And then it was a sold-out show. Everyone wanted to know, what have you got to say about this? And what the fuck can be funny about it? How can you find the comedy in this? Which is why I'm at that point again now, because of what's happening with Israel and Palestine, and of course Iran's involvement. It's a question of going back out at a time when nobody wants to find anything funny. There's nothing funny about what's going on. But you can use stand-up comedy as a vehicle to make sense of the craziness with answers that a lot of people wouldn't expect.
It's tragedy, but there's no time at the moment. There's no distance at time. Usually you had 17 days on your one.
Yes.
Not your one, you know what I mean?
Oh, my one. There you go.
He did it.
He's othered me. 9/11 was because of me,
But now there's tragedy. There's no time at the moment. And it must be quite hard.
The trick is always to find what is the issue and where can you find the comedy. Where are the bits of hypocrisy? Where are the discourses where you can use comedy, which is basically clear-minded, clear thinking. That is what people want to hear, and that's what I want to hear. All that kind of stuff I think is very, very important to put out there and have a discourse about, but it's not something you can never make fun of human suffering, but the conditions that allow the suffering to happen is something which absolutely should be making fun of.
Let's quickly talk about photography. So firstly, I think you're really photogenic as a person, but also on stage. I've got some amazing shots of you that I've taken, one at the Ealing Festival, which I really love, the light that's shining, and also the way you are. Because you're quite energetic or athletic, can I say, on stage?
Athletic! I love, you've got to keep that in. I'm athletic, it's official.
You know, I mean, you move around and there's a lot of kind of, with your voice and your movement. So I get some great shots of your stage, but also one of my favourite one backstage is you and Jack D.
Oh, that's a great picture.
You coming out the toilet door and there's a mirror image of you. Have you got a photograph that brings back memories or emotions? Is there a picture that you can recall?
Yes, there was a picture taken by the official photographer on The Mummy on the first day of filming. It was probably my first proper day on a big Hollywood shoot. I took over the scene. It was my first day on a set, but in fact, the very first shot of that movie is when I say, come, come, step over the threshold, where they come into the prison. That was the very first scene shot. So when they said, shot, scene one done, everyone applauded. So I suddenly got this rush of kind of like, I'm a big shot now. I mean, everyone, the whole Hollywood set's clapping for me. So I just took over the scene. I remember Rachel Wise just looking at me. They took a photograph. She was literally looking at me, and this line that was improvised. I said, what else? I'm a lonely man. And she improvised a line, I wouldn't touch you if you were the last man on earth. And I just said, tough crowd, like that.
You actually said that, is that
tough
in the
crowd,
movie?
you are harsh. You're a tough crowd, like that, which they cut out. But the picture I'm showing you is that moment when we had that little bit of repartee. It's a lovely moment because I remember really remembering how I took over the whole set with hundreds of extras, the director. They were all listening to me, and I was telling people where to go, and the director was asking me, what do you think? And then she was looking at me and said, who the hell are you? And I remember saying, I'll tell you who I am. I got 40 quid at the Orangi Boom Boom last week, so I know what I'm talking about. So I was just like a 2-bit comic on the London Fringe, but who would just totally took over this scene. So that's the photograph that means a lot to me. And actually I didn't realise that I would be doing more of those things. But at the time I remember thinking, this isn't going to last, just enjoy it, and then you can tell your mates about it.
Did you know at the time how big that film was going to be?
No, not at all. And I remember when they did the deal, I said to my agent, they said, are you free between April and September? And I said, yeah, but you know, I promised Steve Jameson I'll do the Meccano Club.
That's such a comic mentality.
But yes, I'm doing the Meccano Club. They said, well, how much are you getting paid? I said, I'm getting 60 quid each night. I don't want to lose it. He goes, well, if we added that into the contract, I said, yeah, I'd be happy, because you know, I'll be letting him down. It's next week and I've got to go. So I remember ringing Steve and said, I can't do the gigs. He went, yeah, okay, no worries. But in my contract, it says that 120 quid for missed comedy club gigs. That's how much comedy meant to me. I didn't think anything of it. I thought this is just some Hollywood B movie. It'll come and go. I never thought it would be the film that saved Universal Studios.
Was that for it? Is that what happened?
Because Universal Studios have to have a couple of flops, then they usually have a few hits. But they'd had 10 flops in a row and they're about to go down. And then when The Mummy was released, I think it made them $600 million in the first 3 or 4 months or something.
It was huge, wasn't it? Yeah.
And it saved the studios. This is very beautiful. You were taking the dust off the mirror. That's a very spiritual thing, isn't it? We're all like, this is actually very beautiful, isn't it? Because human souls are a bit like a mirror. And when we kind of get messed up in life is when dust comes over the mirror and you can't see the purity. That's how I see all the heckling. When they say we hate my souls, I just had dust on my mirror. That's all it was.
I like that. We'll keep that.
It was just some dust on my mirror. That's all it was.
So now you keep the mirror where it is, but you look at me.
Okay, great.
That's so nice. I get the side of your nose.
Fantastic. And what a nose.
So when you look in the mirror, this was my question, what do you see?
That was my first ever Edinburgh show, because when I used to look in the mirror and I used to see like a short, fat kebab shop owner's son. That was the thing, that's what I looked like. And so I did a show called I'm a short, fat kebab shop owner's son, but I'd come out in tails because I say inside me there was a tall, thin, high cheekboned English ponce screaming to get out. For all intents and purposes, I'm a British person. In fact, my wife once said to me, you know, I can't believe you. I thought I'd married an exotic Iranian man. You're just a football hooligan. You watch Ford Football Sunday kind of going, come on, Chelsea. You just sit there with your fat belly. You're not exotic at all. And I ask you things about Rumi, and Rumi was a Persian poet. You don't know anything. I said, who? 13th century Persian poet. I said, well, I've never heard of him. Because you don't know anything about your cultures.
Do you know Rumi? What, Rooney?
Yeah, Rooney. So mirrors are very interesting. Mirrors are a very good way. You've got to look at yourself in the mirror. For stand-up, they say, if you want to be a good stand-up, look at yourself in the mirror and write down what you see and write about that. And that's what I did. I looked at myself in the mirror and I saw an essential dichotomy between what I looked like and what I felt. And that was the first show I did.
A little tingle down my spine there, because that's the best answer I think we're ever going to get from someone looking in the mirror. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
There
you go.
That's very interesting, isn't it?
Thank you. It's all based on pain and self-loathing. That's what it's about.
I love this man. Thank you for coming, mate.
I love you too, man.
I'm going to do a
Two
selfie.
baldies. Well, thank you, man.
Cheers, mate. Lovely. Really appreciate it.
It was
Really
fantastic,
appreciate it.
and thanks to you. One request, just when you edit this, just make me look thin. That's all I care about.
You've got to stand like this, don't we?
Yeah, good. No, this is what you do. When I take a picture, you see, look,
like-
yeah.